Hi, welcome to our Pharma Topics channel. Our topic of discussion is very important, drug interactions. In this video, we are going to discuss about the different types of drug interactions. The types of drug interactions are two. One is pharmacokinetic drug interactions, and the next one is pharmacodynamic drug interactions. The pharmacokinetics may affect the absorption, distribution, metabolism, or elimination of the co-administered drugs. And pharmacodynamics drug interactions can affect the they may have an additive effect or they may have a opposing effect. So it's an outline of drug interactions. We are going to see this in brief in this video. So let us see about pharmaceutical interactions. Actually, pharmaceutical drug interactions occur outside the body. That is, during mixing or preparation, there may be drug interactions. So phenytoin, phenothiazines, vitamin B complex, amphotericin, sulfadiazine, and furosemide should not be mixed with any other drug in solution. Penicillin G or ampicillin should not be mixed with gentamicin injections. And thiopentone sodium injection should not be mixed with succinylcholine or morphine. And heparin should not be mixed with penicillin or gentamicin or hydrocortisone. Noradrenaline should not be mixed with sodium bicarbonate. Let us see the pharmacokinetic drug interactions. In that, we will see first alteration of drug absorption. So let us see the first category. It affects the binding or chelation or complexation. It forms a poorly soluble or unabsorbable complex causing reduced absorption. So one is antacids cause numerous interactions. They form a chelation with the tetracyclines or the fluoroquinolones and affect their absorption. Iron salts also form chelation with the tetracyclines or fluoroquinolones. Sucralfate, it actually forms like a sticky substance that can bind phenytoin and affect its bioavailability. And cholestyramine is binding resin. It can affect the bioavailability or the absorption of cephalexin, sulfomethoxazole, warfarin, and thyroxine sodium. Let us see some of the drugs, they reduce the acidity and that causes decreased dissolution and absorption of the co-administered drugs. So one is ketoconazole, which gets affected by H2 receptor antagonists or proton pump inhibitors, which decrease the acidity, increase the pH, which affects the bioavailability of ketoconazole, which is an antifungal drug. Let us see some of the drugs which alter the gut motility or secretion that can lead to affecting the bioavailability of the co-administered drugs. So one is atropine, tricyclic antidepressants or opioids. They reduce the gastric motility, increase the time taken for the gastric emptying, and that affects the bioavailability of levodopa, lithium, or mexilitin. So delayed gastric emptying, and this causes a decreased rate of absorption. So prokinetics actually, as when they are clubbed with like cisapride, mosapride, and all the prides, metoclopramide, they cause a rapid gastric emptying, and that enhances or increased absorption of aspirin, diazepam, levodopa, lithium, and mexilitin. Then some of the drugs they cause uh, killing of the GI gut flora, which are all common cells, and that causes a disturbance in the co-administered drugs absorption. So digoxin, when it is combined with the antibiotics such as erythromycin or tetracycline, it causes increased bioavailability of digoxin or increases its toxicity because the antibiotics they destruct the bacterial flora and that inactivates the digoxin in the lower intestine. Ampicillin and amoxicillin, when they are clubbed with the warfarin, they decrease the vitamin K production in the gut because the vitamin K producing bacteria are destroyed by the antibiotics. That increases the risk of bleeding. So it is mandatory to monitor the clotting time or bleeding time and reduce the anticoagulant dose if and when required. Let us see the alteration of enterohepatic circulation. So in this diagram, it is giving examples of estrogens. Estrogens, when they are administered, they undergo enterohepatic circulation. Estrogen glucuronide, which is a metabolite, when it enters into the GIT, there by the bacterial enzymes, they get recycled to estrogen and they get again into the circulation. When antibiotics are administered along with the estrogen, it eliminates or destroys the gut microbial flora that affects the bioavailability of estrogens, because estrogen gets eliminated easily. So its bioavailability will get reduced. The next is alteration of drug distribution. One is displacement of the from the plasma protein binding sites. When phenylbutazone is administered with warfarin, it increases the risk of hemorrhage because phenylbutazone displaces warfarin from its protein binding sites. Next is displacement from the tissue binding sites. Quinidine displaces digoxin from its tissue binding sites and thus increases the digoxin toxicity. Sulfonamides, when they are administered with tolbutamide, they displace the tolbutamide and increases the risk of hypoglycemia. Valproic acid, when it is administered with the phenytoin, it increases the risk of phenytoin toxicity. Let us see the alteration of drug metabolism. So, when you give two drugs, here let us take drug A and drug B. And drug A gets metabolized to metabolite A and that gets eliminated. It is an assumption. When drug B is inhibitor or a inducer of the enzymes which metabolize drug A, it will have two possibilities. One is if it is a inducer, it increases the metabolism of the drug A. If it is an inhibitor, it decreases the metabolism of drug A. So it can affect the bioavailability in it, or it may increase the toxicity. So you have the CYP enzymes, which are the microsomal liver microsomal enzymes. If some of the drugs which are inhibitors of the CYP enzyme, they increase the concentration of the co-administered drugs. Whereas if they are inductor or inducers of the CYP enzyme, they cause reduction of the co-administered drugs, or they reduce the concentration of the co-administered drugs, they reduce their bioavailability. So when the concentration gets reduced, there it leads to therapeutic failure. When the concentration of the co-administered drug increases, it increases the risk of adverse effects. Let us see some of the examples. Enzyme inducers. You can remember with the code name GPRS cell phone, that is graciofulvin, phenytoin, rifampicin, smoking, carbamazepine and phenobarbital are all enzyme inducers. They reduce the concentration or the bioavailability of the co-administered drugs, which leads to therapeutic failure. And the enzyme inhibitors, you can remember with this code, vitamin K cannot cause one enzyme inhibition within hours or months. Valproate, ketoconazole and other azole antifungals, cimetidine, ciprofloxacin, chloramphenicol, omeprazole, erythromycin, isoniazid, HIV protease inhibitors and metronidazole. All these drugs, they increase the therapeutic concentration of the co-administered drugs, which increase their toxicity. Let us see some of the classical examples. Before that, let us know enzyme induction will take place within 1 to 2 weeks, whereas enzyme inhibition develops quickly and regresses gradually over 1 to 3 weeks after discontinuation of the inducer. So one is phenobarbital, phenytoin, carbamazepine or rifampicin are all enzyme inducers. They cause loss of efficacy of the co-administered drugs such as metronidazole, doxycycline, chloramphenicol, HIV protease inhibitors, warfarin, oral contraceptives, or antidepressants. And erythromycin, clarithromycin, ketoconazole, itraconazole, fluconazole, and protease inhibitors are all enzyme inhibitors. So they cause inhibition of the metabolism of more important CYP enzyme, which is CYP3A4, leading to toxicity of the co-administered drug, such as phenytoin, carbamazepine, sulfonylureas, HIV protease inhibitors, theophylline, diazepam, and anti-hyperlipidemic drugs such as statins. So it is better to avoid the concurrent use of these enzyme inhibitors or readjust the dose of the objective drug. The classical example is when omeprazole is administered along with clopidogrel. It causes a delayed activation of active metabolite of clopidogrel and delayed therapeutic effect. So it is better to avoid the concurrent use of clopidogrel with omeprazole. Then some of the drugs they cause alteration in the hepatic blood flow. Example is propranolol plus lidocaine. Lidocaine metabolism is dependent on the blood flow, hepatic blood flow, and propranolol has been found to prolong the T-half of lidocaine by reducing blood flow to the liver. Then some of the drugs, when they are administered, they have the same common enzyme for metabolism. Example, allopurinol and 6-mercaptopurine or azathioprine are all metabolized by xanthine oxidase. So this there may be a competition between these drugs. It can cause inhibition of metabolism. So it is better to reduce the dose of 6-mercaptopurine or azathioprine to 1/3 reduction when they are administered with allopurinol. Next is pharmacokinetic interactions. Let us see the elimination interactions. One is inhibition of active tubular secretion or decreased excretion. Propanacid, when it is administered with penicillin or cephalosporin, propanacid inhibits the tubular secretion of penicillin and cephalosporins and prolongs their T-half. Actually, it is utilized as a desirable drug interaction for single dose therapy. And next is aspirin. When it is administered with spironolactone, it reduces the potassium conserving capacity of the spironolactone due to decreased tubular secretion of candrinone, which is a metabolite of spironolactone. So it is better to avoid the concurrent use of aspirin and spironolactone. Next is alteration of urine pH. Change in urine pH may affect the excretion of weakly acidic or basic drugs. So it is utilized as a strategy for treatment of poisonings. Then next is the enhancement of tubular reabsorption, that is decreasing the excretion. So one is NSAIDs plus lithium. NSAIDs increase the toxicity of lithium by promoting its tubular reabsorption. Next is metronidazole plus lithium. Metronidazole causes decreased excretion of lithium. So it is essential to monitor lithium levels and reduce the lithium dose which is an anti-manic drug. Next, tetracyclines plus lithium. Tetracyclines decrease the excretion of lithium, so it is essential to monitor lithium levels and reduce the lithium dose. Next is diuretics plus lithium. Diuretics cause a decrease in excretion of lithium, so the same, it is essential to monitor the lithium levels and reduce the lithium dose. Diuretics, when they are administered with digoxin, it can cause electrolyte disturbances, particularly hypokalemia caused by the diuretics increases the digoxin toxicity. So it is essential to add a potassium sparing diuretic or to give potassium supplements. Now let us see the pharmacodynamic drug interactions. It may cause additive or synergism effect, or it may lead to antagonism effect. Let us see some of the examples. It may have additive effect or increased effect of adverse effects or therapeutic failure also. One is ceftriaxone or cefoperazone. They contain the ring methyl thiotetrasol ring. So because of this, they cause bleeding. So when it is combined with the anticoagulant drug warfarin, it causes additive hypoprothrombemia. So it is essential to monitor the clotting time and to reduce the dose of the anticoagulant. Then metronidazole or tinidazole or cefoperazone, when they are administered with alcohol, there is a possibility of accumulation of acetaldehyde causing disulfiram-like reactions. So it is essential to warn the patient not to drink alcohol. Gemfibrocil or nicotinic acid, when they are administered with statins, they increase the risk of myopathy, and it is the caution should be exercised when they are clubbed together. Then furosemide, when it is clubbed with minocycline, it enhances the vestibular toxicity. It is better to avoid the concurrent use. Furosemide, when it is administered with aminoglycoside antibiotics, it causes additive ototoxicity and nephrotoxicity. So it is essential to avoid the concurrent use of these two categories of drugs. Clindamycin, when it is administered with erythromycin, clarithromycin, azithromycin, or chloramphenicol, there is a mutual antagonism of antibacterial action due to same binding sites on the bacterial ribosomes. So it is better to avoid concurrent use. The next is NSAIDs. When they are administered along with ciprofloxacin, it increases the CNS toxicity. So it is better to avoid the concurrent use. NSAIDs are aspirin when they are administered with warfarin or heparin. It enhances the risk of bleeding due to antiplatelet action and gastric mucosal damage. So caution not to use these two categories of drugs. NSAIDs and aspirin, when they are administered with ACE inhibitors, beta blockers, or thiazide diuretics, or furosemide, it reduces the antihypertensive effect due to inhibition of renal prostaglandin synthesis. So it is better to avoid the concurrent use of these two categories of drugs. NSAIDs or aspirin, when they are administered with alcohol or corticosteroids, it increases the risk of gastric mucosal damage, and it may lead to gastric bleeding. So concurrent use is actually contraindicated. Chlorpromazine or imipramine or other tricyclic antidepressants, when they are administered with morphine, pethidine, or codeine, it enhances the CNS and respiratory depression. So it is essential to avoid the concurrent use of these two categories of drugs. Chlorpromazine, haloperidol, and metoclopramide, when they are administered with levodopa or carbidopa combination, it antagonizes the anti-Parkinson effect. So concurrent use is contraindicated. The next is levodopa or carbidopa. When they are administered with ACE inhibitors, vasodilators, or prazosin, excessive postural hypotension may occur. So it is essential to reduce the dose of the antihypertensives. The next is promethazine or alcohol or opioids or antipsychotics. When they are clubbed with diazepam or benzodiazepines, additive CNS and respiratory depression may occur. It may cause motor impairment. So it is essential to avoid concurrent use of these two categories of drugs. Sildenafil or tadalafil, when it is administered with nitrates, it causes marked potentiation and precipitation of fall in blood pressure. It is a very dangerous combination. So concurrent use is contraindicated. Then lidocaine, when it is administered with beta blockers, it causes exaggerated bradycardia and hypotension. So it is to avoid the concurrent use of these two categories of drugs. Lidocaine, when it is administered with quinidine or other anti-arrhythmic drugs, exaggerated cardiac depression or precipitation of arrhythmias may occur. So it is essential to avoid the concurrent use of these two categories of drugs. Insulin, when it is combined with non-selective beta blockers, it delays the recovery from hypoglycemia. It may lead to palpitations, tremors, anxiety, but it does not affect the sweating. Insulin, when it is clubbed with diuretics, corticosteroids, oral contraceptives, or diazoxide, it decreases the effectiveness of insulin. Let us see the drug-food interactions. Grapefruit juice, which contains naringin, a substance which is an enzyme inhibitor, when it is clubbed with organic nitrates, cyclosporin, tacrolimus, cisapride, carbamazepine, saquinavir, or alprazolam, it leads to inhibition of the metabolic enzymes and enhances the toxicity of co-administered drugs. St. John's wort is an enzyme inducer. When it is clubbed with warfarin, digoxin, theophylline, cyclosporin, phenytoin, or antiretroviral drugs, it leads to induction of the metabolic enzymes and reduces the therapeutic efficacy of the co-administered drugs. Dairy foods cause chelation of tetracyclines and iron salts and reduce the absorption of these drugs. Tender coconuts or sweet lime or banana are rich in potassium. When they are co-administered with ACE inhibitors, it increases the risk of hyperkalemia. Tyramine containing foods such as cheese, beer, wine, yeast, or buttermilk, when they are co-administered with monoamine oxidase inhibitors, it causes a dangerous cheese reaction, causing hypertensive emergency. Broccoli or banana, which is rich in potassium, when it is co-administered with warfarin, because it is rich in potassium, it reduces the therapeutic efficacy of warfarin. So it's a very short information of all the drug interactions and drug as well as drug food interactions. I hope it will be useful for you. Thank you for listening. Happy learning. Kindly share this to more of your friends. Kindly subscribe to our Pharma Topics channel for further updates. Thank you.